So what we're going to do today is really talk a little bit about cultural authenticity. And this is all about a genuine representation and preservation of destinations' cultural heritage, whether that's living or historical, and that it goes beyond superficial experiences. So I'm going to start off asking our panelists, what do you all think the most important aspects of consumer promotion are that can genuinely ensure authenticity in messaging, and at the same time being careful of the various new green regulations that are going to be out there? So Natalia, can I perhaps kick off with you?
Yeah, it's where is Moldova? Is the question, and I think now more and more people know where our country is because of the situation that we have. But of course, this situation helps us to be creative also and to find new solutions how to put Moldova on the map, and preparing or packaging these genuine and authentic products for our travelers is our core aim and scope to put Moldova on the map, on the world tourist map. And in this way, we have the wine, the gastronomy, which is not about only drinking and eating, but it's about the experience, and it's part of the cultural heritage, because this is coming like authentic and organically part of our DNA, and that is what we can share with our visitors and our guests. Our wine and tourism sectors are in the trends, with the international trends, because the experience that the visitors can have in Moldova, they are really authentic. They are going beyond the connecting some dots or sightseeing or visiting some museums. They are going deeper to make the visitors be part of the local community, being involved in the activities that a small family has and is doing day by day. So what is common for a Moldovan family, it's a great and huge experience, genuine experience for a traveler. So this is why we want to emphasize this authenticity that we have in our core and in our hearts, and to share with the travelers that are coming to Moldova. And of course, the travelers that we want to come in Moldova are discerning customers and travelers that will keep and take care and will help us to preserve the resources, the limited resources that we have for the future generations, and to support especially the local communities to preserve these traditions and to promote these traditions that we have through this cultural heritage. And the sustainability is one of the key elements that is like the red line for us to take into consideration when developing new packages, when developing the regions, and when people are traveling. It's important to mention that actually our USP as a destination, Moldova, is to become in a few years a renowned destination, sustainable and authentic, to keep the authenticity of our destination. So
So very much your people.
Yeah.
Yes, as you know, there's a game in the UK called Where is Moldova? And it's a fantastic board game, actually, but you're making sure that people really do know where it is through your people.
We can change already the game, and maybe we can change the name of the game.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, because could be like, I can't wait to visit Moldova,
Yes.
So.
So Serjan, do you want to talk a little bit about the authenticity, the importance of authenticity in your messaging?
First of all, thank you very much for having me today. As a Turkish Airlines representative, it is very important for us to have authenticity in the consumer promotion while we are adapting new green regulation to our business model. Turkish Airlines, one of the youngest fleet in Europe, with the average feet age 9.4 and total of 456 aircraft carry out our operation with the sense of responsibility to environment and the society, while we are flying more countries than any other airline. So we are adapting our sustainability approach to our business program and our sustainability management to work to extend that principle to all units from the upper management to the
Yeah, she's good. I like her.
to
Very
the
nice person.
lower
Nice woman.
level.
I went to see her. She actually invited me to Lanzarote. So
Ajahn, we can hear you.
So in the airline industry, to be authentic and to be transparent are very important. Our passengers who fly with us, both business or leisure, each day becoming more demanding. So they depend on the trust, the credibility, and the honesty of our messaging. So for Turkish Airlines, we are focusing that transparency, consistency, engagement, and responsibility. For us, we believe that these principles are very important, not only fulfilling the requirement of regularity, but mostly created more trustable and more genuine connection with our passenger.
Thank you. And now, Chris, Intrepid Travel, you're probably the largest B Corp, and you've been about authentic messaging for many years. What's your take on that question?
Well, as you already mentioned, Intrepid Travel is one of the pioneers of responsible travel. We are probably one of the best examples that being responsible does help you grow the business. We are around for 35 years. It's going stronger and bigger every year. But currently, at least at the moment, the responsible factor is just another factor when you book a trip. The question is much more clients come to us because we have a great product. We have great itineraries. They love what they're seeing on our trips, what they're experiencing, how they're connecting with the local cultures. And later, when we go through the feedback and analyze actually what makes the trips great, the responsible travel is actually one of the top 3 things that comes out. So the repeat clients then come first of because of the great product and because of the responsible angle, how they see it. How to get there, you already mentioned, and it's getting certification. So B Corp is one of the largest ones. We are the largest B Travel Corp. We are also trying to promote our decarbonization kits to the industry to help them decarbonize. But it's getting that external certification for your business to actually give you the validity then when you try to promote yourself. You can't always get it right, but you can start with smaller parts. B Corp is a big step. You have smaller like the Green Key and other certifications around the world. And it's those small steps that then contribute to get a wider visibility and help you get yourself on the map.
Thank you. Now, how about you, Nico?
Right. My view is that we should be incorporating climate contributions in every travel product that is sold. I think as an industry we need to be realistic about it. We should not flower them up. We shouldn't lie about them. We should be transparent. But we should let the consumer know what we're doing on that front. When you come to somewhere like Bosnia and Herzegovina, one of their biggest assets is nature. And if you compare what is actually going on here compared to what is going on in Europe, they've got to realize that Gen Z are actually very, very aware of climate change. They're very aware about sustainability. And to achieve that here, like Ivan from MasterCard said earlier, you need to communicate sustainability not only to the traveller, but to the population. And part of that means sort of like looking at how they're looking to decarbonise their country. So they're putting in 3,000 micro dams, which won't make much difference to their overall emissions. However, there are better ways of doing it. And the thing is that if you look at what Europe is doing through the European Green Deal agenda, they're actually ripping out dams and they're free-flowing. They're putting 25,000 kilometers of rivers back into free flow. Now, if Bosnia-Herzegovina wants to deliver the right message, then they need to teach their people to actually preserve nature as well, and that they can actually do so much more. They can still achieve their goals. They can achieve their climate neutral goals through different green energies. But yeah, it's about actually trying to sort of like communicate correctly, but I do think it needs to be both sides, otherwise you won't get there. You can't have one side saying, yeah, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and then you turn up at the other end, and then nature, you know, you've got one of the best, in fact, this country in the Balkans have the most free-flowing, beautiful rivers in the whole world. And, you know, we should be trying to preserve that, and we should be shouting about that. You know, but we need to take action together to do that. So that's where I feel, you know, that we need to go with messaging. So yeah, it's transparency, being honest. None of us are going to achieve it on our own. And so, you know, we do need to sort of like look at how we deliver those messages.
No, I think it's important that the communities that we're talking about wanting to make a difference to also understand from their perspective why we're trying to change tourism in this way. And Evan, how about you from a consumer promotion perspective in authenticity?
If you're talking about authenticity and Exit Festival and messaging about sustainability, I think we are basically in a good position because Exit is one of the few major festivals which basically started as a social movement, and it was always more than just music and entertainment. It always has a strong social mission from the beginning. The founders' vision was to be a huge platform for positive changes in the society in general. And from early, it's now 24 years old, but from the beginning, the sustainability was very important, and we were always far before regulations in that sense. In the first period, we were using the power of the brand with millions of followers to basically educate them, because we are dealing with the very young people, to raise awareness about environmental issues among them, especially in the Balkans, so they can, in the future, they can, you know, change their behavior in the sense of to be like environmental friendly, and also to do a pressure on the governments to do more in that sense. That's on one side, because they're in combinedly, that's the biggest influence if you have huge following. And the second way, of course, if you talk about authenticity and messagings, and there is, you know, that storytelling, story doing, and story being. We have to be on all these three levels. So we also are doing our environmental policy. We hire the consultants who basically give us a path how we can, you know, put the mission the lowest it has, and it's a yearly plan. It's not like short term. So we are doing a lot of promoting recycling, waste consumption, using local food on the festival. That's number one priority. All food is vary from like 30 kilometers around the city, promoting like less, let's say, polluting travel opportunities. Like from Belgrade, there is a fast train going all night, because we want to encourage people to come on train, because many people come from Belgrade and so on. And we did many campaigns of promoting, you know, afforestation. We did afforestation actions. Also, we are participating in many European projects. Horizon, who are a science project looking for solutions. We are now in 2 for preventing plastic litter going into rivers and seas, because we have also a sea festival. For example, last month in Istria, we promoted this new organic cosmetics, soaps and shampoo you can use on the beach, and they let's say, without any jeopardizing of the sea and so on. So there are a lot of things that have to be done, and we are using every opportunity to support the environment as well.
Fantastic. So there's a theme here, isn't there? Certainly of honesty and transparency. And then that brings us sort of nicely onto whatever we're talking about from an honest and transparent perspective. We also have to package the message in a way that the potential customer really understands what the product is. And I think, Robert, if we can come on to you and talk about some of your experiences. We've heard a lot this week about cross-border partnerships and promotions, and you've got a fantastic experience that you would like to share with us that really shows the power of face-to-face communications, but also about how you really do have to get the message right if people are going to understand what product we've got here in the region.
Thank you, Debbie. That sounds like a lot for me to cover. I'll do my best to do it as quickly as possible. Dobar dan. And hvala na toploj dobrodošli. Thank you. I have a very long history with Bosnia, and I want to just say this first before I move on to answer your question, if that's okay. This is my 13th visit to Sarajevo. My first job in tourism was in Bosnia. I was the very first vodič in Neum back in 1985. And in 85 and 86, I would come to Sarajevo every month for 2 nights with my group, and I would have the best time. For me, this was the best place on the planet. I absolutely loved it for all sorts of reasons. You know, this was the place where East meets West, where Ottoman and Austro-Hungarian history comes together, where people from several different religions would worship together within the space of 100 meters. It was a great party city. I'd get on the number 3 tram from the Bristol Hotel every night, and I'd go and party with all the local vodičas, and we would just have the best time. And I fell in love with this city, and I have to say, I've been everywhere in Bosnia since then. I've been from Neum in the west to Visegrad in the east, from Bihać in the north to Trebinje in the south. But I haven't been back to Sarajevo for 38 years until this week. And the reason, and it's related in a way to messaging, the reason was because I did have such a good time, and it was my favorite city, that I was really frightened that the war had taken all of those things I loved and changed it immeasurably and irreconcilably. And I'm happy to say that having spent the last 3 days here, Sarajevo, I would say, is like, for me, like 1986 on steroids. It's just fantastic. I've fallen in love with your city all over again. And whatever I have to say, I'm standing here, we're at the Resilience Council session, and you know, I saw how your city has regenerated and reinvented itself after the devastation of the war. We heard yesterday from Faruk, from Sarajevo, about the layers of red tape you people have to go through. We heard from the minister about natural disasters like the floods in Una National Park. And you guys, I have to say, have resilience in your DNA. I mean, we're all standing on this stage talking and giving our suggestions, but really, I'm learning from you every day that I'm here, and you know, I'm really grateful for all the information that you are sharing with us, as much as the information that I hope I'm going to give you today. And my topic is getting the message right. You know, that's what you wanted me to talk about. I hope I got that message right. Getting the message right. Okay, so why me? Why New Deal Europe? Many people here will know New Deal Europe, but I think you'll know us. I say us because it's me and my business partner Tina, who's here also. You probably think of us as those guys that organise that big B2B event in London that focuses on the Balkans and brings together suppliers from 12 countries in Southeast Europe together with the travel trade so you can make business deals and connections. But let me tell you, that happens one day a year. This year, there are 366 days in the year. We've got to fill those 365 days up with other things. So we actually, our aim is to develop tourism in the region, to develop cross-border, sustainable and responsible tourism in the region. And we do that through our other services, which are consultation, education, media work, but principally sales and representation. And it's through the sales and representation side of our business that we were awarded a project by the European Tourism Commission, ETC, last year, in partnership with the tourism boards of Montenegro and Serbia. They mentioned it yesterday in the first opening session, called Essential Balkans, and also in partnership with the incoming Association of Romania. And we were tasked with going out to North America to promote these destinations. Now, North America, like in many other destinations, there is no tourism board representing those destinations, as there is no tourism board representing Bosnia-Herzegovina. It's the big challenge in the long-haul destinations. They don't really know you. They don't know much about you. And if you mention the Balkans, as we heard from Laurie yesterday, sometimes people think of it pejoratively. They think of the wars. They think of all the negative aspects of this. And this is one of the challenges we've got to get over. So that was the base that we were starting from. And we went out to the USA and to Canada for a 6-month project starting in July. We're doing the same thing this year, starting in July again, but this time without the funding of ETC. And basically, the way we approached it was we did 3 sales trips across the whole of the USA and Canada. We visited 45 tour operators, the top 45 tour operators for Europe, in their offices. We organized, excuse me, we attended an event called the Limitless Conference, which was for travel agents, the luxury end travel agents in the USA and Canada, where we had contact with 150, presented to 150 travel agents, and we met face-to-face with 22 of them in B2B meetings. We also attended the US TOA conference at the end of the year. We met with Yusuf there. And there we also did a presentation to all of the buyers as a keynote presentation on the project and the region generally, but focusing specifically on those 3 countries that have put up the money. And at the end of the year, we did a B2B session with the tour operators and agents that we'd met with the suppliers in the destination. And we followed all of that up with a survey of how effective was all of this work that we did in terms of bringing the Balkans to the North American market. And if you're okay, I'll just go through the results of that survey, because I think they're quite enlightening. So, we asked people, first of all, what was their awareness or their perception of the region? And only 3% of our respondents said they had no knowledge whatsoever. The rest claimed to have either limited knowledge or knowledge, but we didn't really know what that knowledge was. So we surveyed them and said, what was it? And they gave a whole list of reasons. You know, they think it's an undiscovered destination, it's interesting, maybe more for seasoned travelers, but it's not really on the American market, and we're only really aware of Croatia, was really the gist of it. So we asked them, as a result of all the efforts that we did last year, did you get any new information? Did it change your perception? And the staggering figure is 93% of the people who responded said, yes, we got a lot of information, and over half of those said, we got a huge amount of new information. So purely as a result of us sitting face to face with them and pretending effectively to be your tourism board. So clearly there was a real hunger for information about the destination. And we asked them, well, what are you going to do with this information? Are you going to make any new programs? Believe it or not, 88% of people said, yes, in the next 2 years, thanks to New Deal Europe coming here with the Essential Balkans project, we're going to put together some new programs. The other 12% actually already had programs, and they said, we're going to amend them now and make them more interesting and exciting based upon the information that you gave us. So what was this information? What was the messaging that we were giving? How did we get it right? I'll say from the start, we probably didn't. And we were really lucky in that our first meeting was with Colette, one of the largest tour operators in the USA. And we met there with Dan Sullivan, who's the owner of Colette, a legend in US tourism. And he gave us a full 1.5 hours of his time because he sees huge potential in this region. And he thought that this region really should be doing as well as his best-selling tour, which was Vienna, Prague, and Budapest. And he just put together a recent tour. Actually, Tina and I helped him do the tour. And the tour was in his brochure as A Taste of the Balkans, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, and Montenegro. And we looked at great itinerary. Why wasn't it doing very well? And why wasn't it doing as well as Vienna, Prague, Budapest? And I didn't get to look at the page for that, but I said, Dan, I bet your program, Vienna, Prague, Budapest, it's not called A Taste of Vienna, Prague, Budapest. It's not called A Taste of Czech Republic, Austria, and Hungary. I bet it's called something like imperial capitals. And he said, Robert, that's exactly what it's called. And I said, well, that's what we've got to do with the Balkans. If people think the Balkans is dangerous or dodgy or undiscovered, why just give them a taste? We've got to sex it up a bit. We've got to turn the Balkans into the new imperial capitals. Let's come up with some ideas about how we do that. And then the next day, this idea was reinforced because our first meeting was with Go Ahead Tours. They said pretty much the same. We do the Balkans. It does the same every year. There's no growth from it whatsoever. We need some marketing ideas. There's nobody here giving us ideas about how to sell the destination. And we thought, right, let's come up with our ideas to make this the new imperial capitals. So we came up with some suggestions. Now, I'm not saying these are the right ones. I'm just saying this is what we came up with, Tina and I, after we'd had a few craft beers in Boston, Massachusetts. So, and bearing in mind, we're talking here about Romania, Serbia, and Montenegro only. So the first idea we came up with was, it's the crossroads of Europe. You know, this is where everything came through. The Roman road from Rome to Constantinople went through here. So it's the real place where everybody came through. And that led us on to, which I think is one possibly for Sarajevo and Bosnia rather than the three destinations we were looking at. It's where East meets West. We came up with the birthplace of Western civilization because we'd been to Lepenski Vir on the Danube and we'd seen the area where all those people, the Vinci people lived. And we said, this is where man first made art, first did mining. This is the birthplace of Western civilization. And we also looked at the sustainable tourism development here and said, this is the place which is most sought after in Europe in terms of outdoor, active, and sustainable tourism. 20% of the tourism that comes here is looking for that type of activity. And our final theme was, which we used a lot in many of our promotions, was that this whole region is the last hidden exotic gem in Europe. So we threw all these themes out in the survey and said, which was the one, which was the message that resonated most with you? I'm sure you can probably all guess. The one that most people thought worked best was the last hidden exotic gem of Europe. 54% of respondents said they thought they could use that as a theme to sell the Balkans. So no longer calling it the Balkans, no longer calling it the countries, but giving it a flavor of giving people a reason to come to the destination.
There's some great ideas there, Robert, for the audience to take away.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, the other ones scored pretty well. The one that didn't, sadly, and I think it's because we didn't have Bosnia in the program, was where East meets West. And so I think that's something that, I mean, if we get Bosnia on board, we can really develop this idea as well.
Brilliant, thank you. And on the same subject of getting the message right, we need to talk to people in their tribes. And Chris, Intrepid Travel, have been a pioneer in many types of tours, but particularly female-led, solo travel. Would you be able to talk about these groups of tribes and what you think has worked particularly well for these types of groups in terms of packaging the product up and getting the message out there?
Sure. Looking at our numbers, solo travel actually amounts to about 40% of our bookings. That's a huge number. And COVID-19, unfortunately, or fortunately, has actually helped also raise this number. People have been pent up, closed off, couldn't travel. So the demand for this has increased significantly. Contrary to popular belief, solo travel doesn't mean people are without partners. A lot of times they have partners, they just have different ideas how to travel. Some want to go adventure, some want to go do it a little more leisurely. And this is selling for us quite significant. At the same time, you also mentioned the female tours, female-led tours. That's something we started in 2018, became extremely popular. We have tours in Morocco, in India, now recently also adding it in Saudi Arabia. And what this is doing is actually adding, it allows women travelers to go to destinations where males are not allowed. Means either train carriages where they can, just female-only train carriages, go to specific spas where only females are allowed, tea ceremonies, different experiences that a group of mixed male and female is not allowing.
And at the same time, sometimes women just want to travel with women too, don't they?
Yes, absolutely. So those are actually two of our biggest programs, which are currently, selling very well. I don't know, any specific questions on that one?
No, that was it. It was just so that the audience can understand that how you package different things together.
No, we also work with,
yeah.
on all of those tours, we work with female-only guides. So we actually contribute to the community. And an important aspect, which I also wanted to mention already in the first one, is working with local partners. We're working with IUCN, we're working with me, WWF. Specifically in Bosnia and Herzegovina, we worked with USAID, which helped us create some amazing products because of their involvement here. And they're basically connecting the corporate to the public sector, and the public sector to the private sector. We put some itineraries together, like in Bosnia and Herzegovina, a very extremely successful one was going to the less popular destinations, going to Konjic, going to the wild horses, lesser seen sites of Sarajevo, and that's what people are craving, actually want to experience, which means it's also helping to lessen the burden and overcrowding on destinations and allowing people to experience the lesser known sites.
Thank you. And Evan, I think the other trend that we're seeing globally is the growth of event-led tourism, which is obviously the business you're in, and it would just be good for you to share with the audience for the Exit Festival how it's been a vehicle for peace and reconciliation, how that messaging has continued and allowed it to grow so dramatically.
Okay, I will try to do that in a few sentences. Basically, I will just take you in the context of when Exit was founded. During Yugoslavia time, Yugoslavia was a communist country, but it was open in cultural sense to the West and integrated. We have many bands coming from all over. And then for 10 years in the 90s, where we have these wars, crisis, economic downfall, sanctions, and very bad stuff, we were completely isolated from the rest of the world and between ourselves. So Exit was founded as a will of that generation to exit of all this bad stuff which was happening in the 90s, divisions, ethnic hatred, isolation, and looking at the past in order to bring the world back to the Balkan. And after that, 2000, we brought many international big bands, performers from all over, and it was the place why it was so important, where first place after the wars in former Yugoslavia, where young people from all ex-republics gathered at one place in thousands in cosmopolitan atmosphere, in state of exit, how we call it, where everybody are welcome, no matter of their background, orientation, or whatsoever. And that idea of vision of unity and bringing people back together and people-to-people relationship and looking into the future was something which basically created a tremendous energy among the audience. And there we attracted the foreigners who feel that joy of celebrating life, that we are alive, that we are again together. And this idea of positive changes through music, through universal, let's say, language, is something which built up Exit to be the best major European festival several times, and now attracting people from all over. And in business sense, probably we have a lot of foreigners, like 2/3 from 120 countries, but maybe financially we will be better if we are doing 100% of foreigners, but we decided not to do that in order to keep the spirit of the local people. When I say local audience, I mean all regional, because that unique thing, our hospitality, our friendship, warmship, and let's say idea of celebration and living in the moment is something which created Exit so big. Parallel with this social mission, we had many initiatives. Exit Foundation led the candidacy of Novi Sad to European Cultural Capital, Youth Capital a few years ago, and many other social initiatives, and that is something which gives us strength to continue, and that is that we create this unique atmosphere where everybody are welcome. I call this neo-hippie values of peace, love, and unity, which are always in the forefront of all our communication. People feel that, and that is authentic from the beginning, and that's why it's so successful in 24 years and so on.
And you host a lot of journalists, don't you? And all the people that go share on their social media. And I think, again, it goes back to the theme of it's really important in all communication to include the local people who are and show their personalities and hospitality. Now, I know we're tight on time. Are we allowed, Rajan, a couple more minutes? Maybe? Yeah. So I'm going to combine two questions with you, Sejan, which really looks at the going back to North America and the success that you had there, Robert, with face-to-face. If you were the first airline operating back into the region after the war, but if you can just talk a little bit about the face-to-face success of North America, but at the same time, some of the success of the brand ambassadors that you've had that have driven the message about Turkish Airlines.
Sure. In 1996, Turkish Airlines, one of the first airlines who started operation after the war. And this country is very important for Turkish Airlines and for Turkey as well. Not because of the commercial ties, but more because of the cultural and historical ties. And that time, I should say, 10, 15 years ago, there was no national tourism board or national association in that country. And Turkish Airlines took that role and to work a lot for the promotion of Bosnia and Herzegovina all over the world. I can say with the fam trip, with the workshop, with the special event, especially in Middle East, with the support of our offices in that countries, we create really strong bridge between that countries, and that impact, we have many passengers from that countries. As a result of that, we have now many direct flights from that countries, like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, or Qatar, or I don't know, so Kuwait. Yes, Kuwait also. So Turkish Airlines is the only airline who has sales office and face-to-face communication to provide the customer face-to-face communication instead of call center or emails or robot communication. Then when the passengers interact with the real person, they feel a strong connection with the brand and with the company. When I come to United States, I should say we have 12 direct flights to Atlanta. I have to read because I cannot remember all. Boston, Dallas, Houston, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, and Newark in New York, San Francisco, Seattle, Chicago, Washington, and lastly Detroit. Our sales team and dedicated customer services representative in USA have been important roles through cultural event, trade show, and community gathering. So we have directly connection with our target markets.
And you've had some very amazing sports ambassadors too, haven't you, that have helped drive some of that business?
Yeah, several famous activities in US market. Lately, Morgan Freeman, Kevin Costner, Lionel Messi, Batman and Superman, and I have to say, rest in peace, legend of NBA, Kobe Bryant, the famous one we have in USA market.
And again, it's all about finding messages that are going to relate to the people that you want to travel to the region and on your airline, isn't it? And I know that I'm going to ask one more question. I'm going to go to you, Nico, because there's two in one, so you can choose which
sure,
one.
Okay.
You're all about giving consumers the opportunity to give back and pay forward into the future. Yep. And do you want to just talk for a couple of minutes about the most important thing from a messaging perspective?
I forgot to say something. I have to add. Sorry,
it's okay.
I'm sorry. And in this November, we are planning roadshow to Los Angeles and New York with the support of USAID Tourism Office. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank you to my dear colleague Yusuf for all his support. So please one applause to him. Thank you. Sorry
Okay,
again.
no worries, no worries. Yeah, I mean, our product is really about collaboration, and when I hear about Robert, you know, with his multinational tours and things like this, you sort of like realize that if we can get them to work together, if we can get the supply chain to also help, and you know what we do, we pool funds together from travel companies, from tour operators, from all different types of industries, and then we have this lump sum. Now if we can get them to pool in and spread that message as well, work together, then we can probably really help them resolve the issues. And even, you know, Ivan, with your event, you know, you've got probably a lot of young people. I know you said that there are older ones as well who go, probably not as old as me. But the thing is that if you must recognize that they also have something to do with sustainability. And as an industry, we're in a privileged position to be able to educate the traveller to travel in a better way. And we're also able to sort of like convert that into something where we can show that travel has a positive, powerful impact on the communities that it engages with. And I think that that's a really important message that we should go away with. And we should all try to do something. I mean, we call it a climate contribution. And we're trying to get the industry, you know, especially airlines, to give a small climate contribution with each booking. Because those climate contributions, if we can pull together, if we can collaborate, then the messaging would be something so powerful. It won't be, oh, we put 4 solar panels on a school. It will be more like, we've decarbonized Sarajevo. This is what we've done as travel. This is where we've pooled our funds together and we've done some amazing stuff. Those messages are big, they're newsworthy, the partners all get involved in the coverage, they can be named if they want to be. And it's a way of actually proving how important travel can be to our planet and the people on the planet. And, you know, remember that we are on a planet, you know, and you can feel the planet. You go outside, you can touch the earth and you can put your fingers in it. That's the surface of a planet that is floating in the middle of the universe. And we're lucky enough to be here. So we really should look after it.
And I think, you know, when we look at this panel, I knew that there was no way our time allocated would be enough for all 6 of you to get your messages across as the subject. But I think we are a force for good for travel. And I think the one thing that's come across in our panel today is about being honest and modest in communications and making sure at all times that we communicate authentically. And I think everything we've heard in the last 2 days, there is a lot to be communicated out there. And so I'm glad it's a business I'm in, that's for sure.
Can I just say one last thing? I just want to say thank you to Jacobs Media because they put all this together. And Laurie Myers, who is never with us, sadly, but maybe we should do an event in Athens.
Oh.
Okay, so that we can have Laurie with us one day. And thank you to Laurie. I know she's not here, but I just want to say thank you to her for including us and for all the hard work that everybody does around this. So, thank you.
Well said. Thank you, Nico. Thank you, everybody.